that is a lie, because I did not pop out of the womb married. I know this is something that is not attractive, that we don't want to talk about, that is like, the things of the Lord are boring. What's good? Bissy here. You're listening or watching the Legit Podcast. The biggest compliment you can give me right now in this moment is committing to the podcast and subscribing if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or watching on YouTube. Now, growing up, the goal of life, at least for a woman, or at least how I viewed it, was to be married. Now, while it was kind of unspoken or spoken, we do go about living our lives, but at a certain point in time, you should be hitched, right? And while now in culture, people are checking for that, are not really checking for that, and there's some people that are also have this obsessive desire to be married. I did want to touch a little bit about being single, because I feel like there's not enough talk or messaging around singleness. Now, we know singleness to be something that is not attractive, right? It's not something that people would jump at and portray. And a lot of people do desire to be with somebody, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there is a verse in the Bible where Jesus talks about how he came to earth to do the will of the Father. And I want to touch on the fact that as we are followers of Christ, we are also here to do the will of the Father. And so before anything else, we are here to do the will of the Father, to really propel in a way that brings glory to God, and to really operate in our calling. And so that really is the goal of life. And so what happens is, when we do get with somebody without at least knowing or having a hint of the direction in which God wants us to go, or walking in purpose, we may pick somebody that may be detrimental to our calling, or we may be with somebody where we are detrimental to their calling. Now, I do think that is a dangerous move. Martin Luther King Jr. has a quote, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but he talks about how when you're actually called to do something that's bigger than you and you decline because of fear, you are as dead as a dead person. However, if later on in life, maybe at 90 or 100 years old, you do die, that would just be the belated announcement of your early death. Whew, that is deep. And so basically, if I'm to unpack that, how I understand that is the fact that there is something that really keeps us alive in our soul, in our spirits, and really working on that and operating in that thing that gives us life is really fuel and food for our being, not our physical being, but our spiritual being, for us to actually feel like we're being fulfilled, that innately we're actually doing what we're called to do. And so if we're not operating in that way, we're dead. And that is very dangerous. When you do pick a partner that does not allow you or create a space to actually feed your spirit in a way that fuels you to be the best version of yourself. And in the same way, if you're not for that person, it's detrimental to them. Now, I start with this because I don't think it's something we think about when we're single, right? I don't think it's something we think about when we're picking a partner. I heard somebody say that when a man gets on their knees to propose to you, they're saying, hey, I would love you to submit to the call and the mission upon my life. Follow me as I follow Jesus's lead for my life. And so, do you want to commit to this person's calling, right? And that's one thing I want us to think about. Now, the next thing I also want us to think about is that relationships are work. Now, obviously, I'm talking for experience, but also having heard a lot of married people's stories about the things they've had to overcome. I'm like, dang, you got to really like somebody and love them in a way that that you are willing to exude God's love and God's unconditional love, and go with the way how God teaches us to love, to be with this person. And basically what I'm trying to say is that if you don't find yourself if you find yourself with somebody where you don't like them, and that you don't really like them, or you don't want to really put in the work to express God's unconditional love, then let's let somebody's son be, let somebody's daughter be. Because if you think about it, as individuals, we go through things in life. From a young age, we are attached, we're clung, we're exposed to things that we may not have asked to be exposed to, and may not be even healthy or fruitful to our being. And these are things we have to unpack and unlearn. And the same goes for this other person. And so coming together, you have to go through things as individuals, unpack things as individuals and as a unit. And so if you're going to do life with somebody, you might as well just do it with somebody that you absolutely like and absolutely love, so much that you think about the fact that, wow, I don't think I can do this life without you. I don't think that I want to do this life without. I don't think I want to unpack and go through the worst seasons of my life without you. And so if you find yourself with somebody where, man, I don't know, like, let's just be and enjoy singleness. Now let's get into actually enjoying singleness. Now, before I got married, I was never single. Well, that is a lie, because I did not pop out of the womb married. What I'm trying to say is that I got hitched pretty early on. And so I didn't spend a bulk of my young adult life. I'm still young, but I didn't spend a bulk part of my life single and just enjoying myself pre-marriage and just getting to know me and who I am. And it's not something that pops into our head right away, right? Because we're not taught how to do that. But after I got married, within the marriage and after the divorce, I did come to understand that, wow, there's so much things that I had to learn about myself that I didn't know about myself. Now, marriage itself is a mirror. It amplifies the things that are inside of you, the good things and the things that we also need working on. So being single is really that time where you get to just unpack who God has called you to be and who you are. In the first place, at the beginning, I did talk about, the will of the Father and why we are here. If you think about it, a spoon is used to scoop, right? You don't use a spoon to do something else. So in the same way, we're purposed to actually do something specific. And if we don't know that, and we don't know how this is able to uncover, and how the complex parts of us and maybe the parts of us that we don't understand or may be difficult or may cause some friction actually feeds into that, we're unable to even communicate that to this other person. Enjoying singleness is actually that time where we can use to discover all these things. It's actually a really beautiful time. And I saw this post on Instagram. I'm gonna read it because I don't really remember it. It goes like, there is a depth of intimacy I don't get to experience that my married friends do. So a death, so you go in death, right? But at the same time, being single means there's a breadth of intimacy that I get to experience that they don't. I can have a wider range of close, intimate friendships than would be the case if I was married. And that is true. And so when you're married, you're going deeper with this one person. And so there's no time, and like, this person is half of you. So there's no time to be having in-depth relationships with so many other people. But boy, when you're single, listen, you've got options. You've got options to see, does this work for me? Okay, we got chemistry, but more than chemistry, what is there? And it's not even just about somebody you can be with, but somebody you can do business with, somebody you guys can sprout things together, somebody you can just go through life struggle with. You can actually have deep conversations with what there's nothing attached. I actually have friends like that, and it's so amazing the amount of people that you can have intimate relationships with and get to know the beauty and the intricacies and how God has made each and every single one of us so unique, and how we're able to complement each other with our strengths and just help each other up in our weaknesses. Is just so amazing. And a lot of people don't understand that when you're with somebody, you're not tied to, it's not a death sentence or a prison, as some people also say, but it is necessary to just focus on that. There's a verse in the Bible, I believe it's in Corinthians, where Paul talks about how somebody who is married is concerned about the things of the world and their partner, their spouse, their wife or husband. And somebody explained it as though this person becomes their world. They have to learn the in and outs of this one person. Man, it goes back to me saying that if you don't feel like you have the patience and the time, and you like the person enough that you want to invest in them so much, let somebody's son and daughter be, and you be, right? And in the same way, somebody explained how when we're single, they say, it's a time to be selfish. Do you, boo, get that bag. You don't have to tell anybody anything. You just get up and go and get up and do whatever. But there is a verse in the Bible that says that a single person is actually concerned with the things of the Lord and has ample time on their hands to focus on the things of the Lord. And I know this is something that is not attractive, that we don't want to talk about, that is like, the things of the Lord are boring. Trust me, they are not. It does require work, just as marriage requires work. I was listening to this panel discussion, and one of the pastors was actually saying that if you think about it, single people are actually married to God because you do work for God. Everything has to be around God, and you can't have your fun, right? You can't have your fun and do whatever you have to do, but after you have actually attended to the things of the Lord. And Paul also talks about how as a married couple, you will go through many troubles. You will. And again, think about the troubles we go through as individuals. Talk about a unit. And so it is a lot of work. And so if you're not willing to go through all these many troubles, your highs and lows, grow with somebody, see them at their worst, for them to see you at your worst, again, let somebody's son and daughter be, and you be. So singleness is a beautiful thing. I can honestly say that there's so many things that I've learned about myself as a single person, and even in my interactions with other people, male and female, that I didn't have the privilege of doing when I was married. And there's this question I want you to think about: what makes your life colorful? Now, if you think about a balanced diet, right? If you look at the plate of a balanced diet, or a balanced meal, you see that it's colorful. It has greens, it has oranges, reds, all types of, and that's balanced, right? And so in the same way, our life has to be balanced. As a single person, what makes your life colorful? What makes your life balanced? I think a lot of the times we have a very one-dimensional way of viewing our lives, that we gotta work and, make this money or go to school and have a career and build houses and maybe enjoy that life with somebody. Do you know that there are people that actually do not want to be married at all? Of course you do. But it's actually a thing. Like, I've actually been in conversation with people that don't want to get married. And it's not even because, and that's in the Bible too, but it's not even because they've been hurt or anything like that. They just don't have that desire. Do you know there are actually people that don't want to have kids? And yes, of course you do. But it's not that they've been hurt or something has informed that. They just really don't have that desire. And honestly, from the community I'm coming from, that's a staple. It's like, it must happen. And so being in communication with these kinds of, I'm like, what? Really? And no judgment, to each his own, and absolutely amazing and fine. I'm just trying to say that there's a whole world out there you can actually enjoy as a single person. and not tying your sense of worth to your marital status. There's also a verse in the Bible, I believe it's 1 Corinthians 7:17, that talks about how no matter where you are, be content. Don't wish you were someplace else or with somebody else. Because guess what? There are also married people that wish they were with somebody else. There are married people that wish they were someplace else. There's single people that wish they were married. And so everybody wants to be in somebody else's lives, but don't do that. Just be content and happy with where you are, because where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. 1 Corinthians 7:17, I believe. Now, what are some of the things I have learned as a single person? First of all, if you know me from way back, you would know that marriage was not something that was a huge thing for me. It was not something I was obsessive over. And so I was actually planning on steering clear for the longest time and just securing the bag. But one thing that I learned from actually going through marriage was the humbling process that God took me through, because I actually had a plan where I was gonna, get that degree, secure the bag, and then maybe think about having somebody. And I don't think it's a bad plan. But what that does is it eliminates the need to be in community and grow with people, if that makes sense. And so I'm not a loner, and I cannot get something or do something by myself on my own. It takes being in community and growing each other and learning and God. And so I had this mentality where I'ma do. And God took me through the most humbling process ever. While I did have a man that provided certain things, I didn't need a man. But post-divorce, I was actually able to achieve certain things and do certain things that didn't even require. Obviously, I had to do some work, but God's supernatural on top of it, if that makes sense. And so it doesn't take, basically, I had one route where I wanted things to go, but it didn't take that. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that my singleness, or what I'm trying to say is that post-divorce, being single really taught me a lot of the things about myself, a lot of pride that I had to shed, a lot of things about life that I didn't know just because I was in a particular bubble, things that I was actually proud I was able to overcome or achieve with the help of God, things that I truly enjoy. Like, I don't need somebody to have me enjoy certain things. I actually truly enjoy this, and I can actually articulate that. A lot of people actually can't pinpoint what they enjoy doing by themselves, what they like, what is actually specific and specific to them. And so it's actually the time to uncover these things, so that when you do get with somebody, when you do pick a partner, it's somebody that feeds into you being in purpose, being joyful, and they just come to elevate that and not actually make that happen, if that makes sense. Singleness, being single is not a curse. Being married is also not a prison. It's so funny. It's just so funny how these things work. Both are blessings in a way. And so I was also able to understand and realize how marriage is a blessing. And I've also realized that God would not bring you, Matthew 6:6 says that seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all other things will be added on to you. So in a particular moment, God will always supply your needs. God will always supply your needs. And so at a point in time, if you don't need somebody to compliment you or to progress you in your call, or to propel you in your calling, God ain't gonna make that happen. And it's not a punishment. It's not something that he, being single, it's not something that he dangles over your head. Ha ha ha, you have a desire to be married, but you're still single. It's nothing like that. It's actually time to just really enjoy, and make your life more than one-dimensional, but colorful. All right. And so this is what I have for y'all today. Connect with me. And if you were on this train with me to the end, whether married or single, type in the comments at peace with where I am, at peace with where I am, so that I know that your legit self was here and representing. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Be sure to connect with me. I would really love to hear if you have any questions, suggestions, anything you want me to touch on. It really does help me bring relevant content. So until next time, bye.